Jin's Battlescape Combat Overhaul mod, created by Jin Apex, amplifies Halo Combat Evolved's encounters for Halo the Master Chief Collection on PC. Jin's Battlescape doesn't just throw in more enemy and allied AI on screen, but it adjusts their decision-making strategies to include various armament changes. Overall, the AI is more aggressive, and you can enjoy this mod in classic or anniversary graphics. While the more aggressive AI quickly dispatches targets, no matter if you help out or not, they may remain trigger-happy even after the fact. This mod aims to make assault encounters feel more like an assault than the retail version ever could, and it certainly, without a doubt, excels in that. While there are more Covenant forces added to certain encounters, this mod doesn't go overboard with the Covenant. This was a cool moment right here, seeing the Unity Marines in your Pelican fire outside of it. The assault rifle has undergone some changes, and so has the Magnum, though the Magnum is even more powerful this time around. First, however, let's talk about how much more effective and efficient the assault rifle is in this mod. 32 rounds for the magazine's max capacity, with a 2x zoom capability, helping you be more precise with its much improved accuracy from retail. The Magnum, on the other hand, has no zoom capability in this mod and has a slower rate of fire, but the damage is highly increased. Jin Apex mentioned that the Magnum is based off of the Desert Eagle 50 Action Express, as the magazine capacity is 7 rounds, whereas the new and improved assault rifle is inspired by the Scar Heavy of 7.62 rounds. You can see here how tight the grouping is when not zoomed in, and if you were to back up a bit further and zoom in, the accuracy is still very apparent. Therefore, you could finally feel confident using the assault rifle in Halo Combat Evolved, and the accuracy makes shooting your name into the wall much easier. The flip side to this, the Covenant weapons have seen an improvement too. Since your enemies are more threatening and aggressive, just like the Unity Marines, and even more so, the Unity Navy members hold up their end too, as they can wield assault rifles and not just magnums. This becomes important when your allies start firing at an elite or any other threatening enemy that is about to close in on you, because your allies commit to a much longer engagement range. In this mod especially, positioning is very key. When you play on Legendary, the difficulty Jin Apex recommends, you'll come to find how effective funneling the Covenant in towards your squad can be. Discombobulating an elite who is getting shot from all different angles feels rewarding, and this can incite you to briefly play aggressive, to run up to the elite and finish the job, or hang back and pop the last few shots at him. Now is a great time to briefly talk about the plasma rifle changes, the obvious being the reticle used. Jin Apex made the plasma rifle behave more like a submachine gun, a higher rate of fire with a higher capability of stunning your enemies. The sniper rifle has been adjusted to behave closer to a Barrett 50 cal. It has a slower rate of fire and increased bullet damage. You can use it on Covenant vehicles, and it is effective against the Flood, unlike retail. So, like many of us would, I decided to test it out on Covenant infantry. It works. It takes a bit longer for the plasma pistol to charge, but I noticed I disarmed a jackal with my shot, and he ended up dying a few seconds later from the plasma eating into him. That's pretty cool. The Mad Hedgehog, the Needler, fires needles with much higher velocity and is more effective against energy shielded enemies. Despite the slower rate of fire than retail, the melee of the Needler is devastating. In the level Truth and Reconciliation, the Unity Marines are designed to fire faster, and they have more health, ensuring that they last with you much longer on Legendary mode. They will not falter even if one of their Marine buddies gets killed. Jin Apex put it this way: you're infiltrating a Covenant ship to rescue Captain Keyes and several other Marines. It's a huge task and a very important mission to complete. These Marines are Special Forces teams, therefore they are given those improved traits. I love seeing the Marines fire at the Covenant tuning fork before they even open up the hatches.
That's the way to do it. Looks dead to me.
The interior section of Assault on the Control Room, before you go down the first elevator to meet up with Fireteam Zulu outside, well, you may want to slow your roll there. There are a few more Covenant forces, and there are 2 hunters waiting to challenge you. This was a big surprise to me. Now you can't just give them the side step, turn around, and fire at them once for a one-shot kill. No, that's old school. In Jin's Battlescape mod, you'll have to get a little more creative and pop a considerable amount of shots into them if you want to eliminate the hunters. While the hunters come in pairs, one of them will drop a health pack for you to pick up if you kill them, which is a nice reward, I think. That purple grunt I just pummeled, that's a Spec Ops ranked grunt. You'll see quite a few of them in this mod. They have more health and they're a little more resilient. These stationary turrets deal more damage too. Fireteam Zulu has been beefed up. The cool thing about these Marines is that they will identify a threat and focus on it, but once that threat is eliminated, they will follow you with some attempt at a wedge formation. The allies in Halo Combat Evolved may have always done something like this, but with more Marines, it's a lot more noticeable, and the dialogue interaction between the Marines is even more hilarious. With more allies in Combat Evolved, I think there are times where you just need to listen to it. I could spot one scared grunt and eliminate it, and the allies will spare no expense.
Damn, he got away. Let's find him. I got nothing.
For the most part, they have great vision. While you may get a bit tired of seeing and hearing your allies fire primarily assault rifles, they can wield Covenant weapons too, like the few that you see in this video here. Speaking of various weapons, if an ally has a sniper rifle, in this case Sergeant Johnson, they will hang back to get some distance on the enemy if the terrain allows them to. For allies that wield smaller firearms like the Magnum, they will attempt to charge further up to get a better shot. I reloaded a checkpoint to see how the Marines would react to a Banshee that was firing at me, and it was just what I expected. The Banshee wailed no longer. With all of these allies that follow you, it almost feels like a first-person view of Halo Wars. It should be pretty obvious in this video that in the open sections I wasn't trying to take out the enemies myself, I just wanted to show off the allies in action, while inciting the enemies to shoot at me. Playing Halo long enough, we will understand that stun lock animations is what gives us that extra second we need to take out an elite before they start firing back. The Marines also get stun locked, and in many cases for the retail version, especially on legendary difficulty, the Marines get in a loop of stun locked animations as plasma continues to fly towards them until they are dead. In Jinlock's Battlescape mod, the Marines take more damage before getting stun locked. This is one of the reasons why the Marines are so good in this mod, is because they're able to fire back and evade if they need to, instead of getting stun locked so easily. And he's not happy with what I just did. When you come across this bridge, get over it as soon as possible, or else the Marines will end up causing more harm to each other than the Covenant. Once the path becomes more narrow, that is when your allies start shooting the back of their buddies' heads. Yeah, when you see a lot more red blood than you do Covenant's blood, that's when you know you're in a bad spot. As ridiculous as we look on this bridge, I do promise you that the Marine allies and the Covenant forces make this mod so much fun to play. Go ahead and check this mod out on the Nexus Mod website. To get there, you can go ahead and click on the link in the description of this video. This has been Wiggly Jibbly. You'll hear from me in the next video.